Hello, and welcome to the second part of the summary of the popular anime Ninja Kamui. If you haven't seen the summary of the first part of this anime, I have given you the link above. Make sure you go and watch the first part, then come back and watch the second part to fully understand the story of this anime. So let's go straight to the point. The second part starts with Auza. As we mentioned in the first part, Auza is a large commercial company that has a wide range all over the world. This company offers a new material for the fuel source of power plants, which has received a lot of publicity and introduced itself as a clean and low-cost fuel. Why people don't know about the dirty story behind the curtain of this company. Auza boss puts pressure on the interior minister and forces him to agree with their new strategies and fuel, which the minister is forced to cooperate with. In fact, the cooperation of Auza and Shinobi is for complete control over each country. Shinobi uses their power, and Auza with rage and advanced technology is taking the Shinobi to a higher level. Meanwhile, Emma and Higan plan to enter one of Auza's bases to charge Gosoko's gear with Auza fuel. So what is Gosoko's gear? You didn't mention that at all. Okay, I know, I will explain that. This gear is the same outfit equipped with the Aozai technology that Emma gave to Higan, and it requires Aozai fuel. Emma manages to enter the power plant and get the fuel, but when she returns she is confronted by one of the powerfully equipped shinobi named Big D. And at the same time Higan enters and fight with Big D. But Higan almost fails, and while trying to save Emma, Gosoko's charge runs out and Big D can finish him. But fortunately for Higan, Big D is a justice-seeking person and doesn't continue the fight, because he thinks it's so unfair to defeat the opponent in this situation, and he plans another fight with Higan. Higan and Emma leave, and Emma realizes that someone is hacking her place, and yes, it is none other than Mike. And this is where Mike finds out that Emma was a shinobi all along. Mike is very shocked, but considering the circumstances, he understands Emma's situation. Ahead, we have the conversation between Yamaji and Aoza's boss, and Aoza's boss doesn't understand why Yamaji doesn't destroy Higan as soon as possible, while Higan is stopping projects and slowing down their work. Aoza's boss puts all the blame on Yamaji and orders him and says that I have complete control over the whole world, and you are all my playthings, and if your people don't do anything for me and stop me, then my cooperation with you will end. And meanwhile, Yamaji so roughly points out that one of our shinobi's duties is to find garbage people like you and eliminate them at any cost, and it seems that Yamaji has his own plans. Meanwhile, we have Zai, who has been waiting all this time for his gear to be ready to fight Higan. Emma and Higan and the others are hacking Aoza's information, and Aoza sends Big D to them, and Big D is ready to fight with Higan. In addition to Big D who is fighting Higan, Aoza sends armed men to destroy Emma and Mike. Higan defeats Big D in a beautiful way, and Big D accepts this defeat and is ready to die with complete satisfaction. Suddenly, Aoza, in an unaccepted move that Big D himself was unaware of, explodes Big D's gear, and everyone is forced to take a barricade. But Emma and Mike are in a free space where Emma stops Mike's death and sacrifices herself and dies. Ahead, we have the past of the Zai, who lived as a slave since childhood, and the shinobi, or rather say Yamaji, takes him under his care and changes his life, but with rules full of hate, just like Yamaji himself, who has nothing but hate in his existence. And that is what made Zai stick to Yamaji against his inner desire. But why do I say against his inner desire if Zai intended to kill Higan? Because after Yamaji, Mari and Higan were the only people that Zai trusted completely and opened a new perspective to Zai. But Zai was practically mad because of Mari and Higan's departure, and he wanted to stop them from leaving anyway, and he didn't know what to do, but he couldn't stop them. Ahead, we have the ruined state of Aoza. In addition to the weakening of his cooperation with the shinobi, the Aoza has noticed Aoza's suspicious actions and does not easily agree with his strategies. Next, Mike goes to the head of the FBI to talk to him again, to remind him of the duty of an agent, and maybe he can convince him in this situation. He talks about his loyalty and constantly explains Emma's situation to him. And finally, after a lot of discussion, he is satisfied, and the FBI continues its work to track Aoza. And finally, the scene we were all waiting for: Zai and Higan fight. Zai wears his gear and sends a fight request to Higan, and both of them enter the fight with heart and soul to convince each other. And the interesting thing in this fight is that in the first second of this fight, both of them hit each other with the same force and destroy their gears. And now they have to fight like a real shinobi. Higan and Zai continue the fight of hatred and peace. And meanwhile, Zai uses his secret art called Lightning Thunder, which multiplies Zai's speed and causes severe damage to Higan. But Higan maintains his control, and finally Higan uses his secret art called Calmness. A secret art that should have come to our mind from the very beginning, and with this secret art, Higan has multiple control over his 5 senses, and he gives scolding blows to Zai and rips Zai's mask. And this is where Higan notices Zai's injuries, because Zai didn't stop Higan and Mari and let them escape, contrary to the fact that he was going crazy because of their escape, but he couldn't kill them and fulfill his duty as a shinobi. And because of this, Zai was tortured by the high ranks of shinobi and half of his face was completely burned. The fight continues with arguments, but Higan wins this fight due to having a better will. But he doesn't kill Zai because he didn't have such an intention from the beginning, and the only thing he wanted to do was to convince Zai and show him the right path. Ahead we have the argument between Aoza's boss and Yamaji, that Aoza's boss is planning to trap Yamaji and sends his all forces to the place of shinobi, and calls Yamaji and says goodbye to him and tells him that you are trapped, unaware of the fact that Yamaji is one step ahead of Aoza and that Yamaji has emptied all the shinobi places and there is no one there. And he blows it up and bye bye to Aoza's forces. And now Yamaji attacks Aoza with his equipped shinobi, but the bodyguard of Aoza boss, who is also a shinobi herself, makes the boss of Aoza run away and sacrifices herself while fighting with the shinobis. A tough fight, but she doesn't last against Yamaji and is killed. Ahead we have Higan, who is resting, and an old man approaches him, but he is not an ordinary old man but the former head of the shinobi who is still alive. But he no longer has any power of his own, and this is just a body, and he wants Higan to keep his will and finish his unfinished business, because the only one who can fix this dirty situation of shinobi and defeat Yamaji is Higan. And he tells him all the shinobi rules and tells Higan that you didn't betray the shinobi world, and a true shinobi is actually you, the one who protects your loved ones in any situation. But this Yamaji who corrupted the shinobi for power must be stopped as soon as possible. The arrest warrant of Aoza boss is broadcasted in the news, and the boss of Aoza is now a fugitive. But what's the point? Because now Yamaji has full power over Aoza's equipment and continues his work. And yes, Yamaji equips all his forces with the gears and takes them to the country's command center to destroy them and take the country's presidency so that the shinobi rule the country and achieve his goals. At the same time, Aoza boss gets involved and threatens the FBI and the presidency and says that it is enough to blow up all the nuclear reactors of Aoza to blow up this country. And in the meantime, he is getting ready to fight with Yamaji's forces. But suddenly Mike enters, and while Aoza boss wants to board the plane, he stops him and ruins his plans. Mike follows Aoza boss and follows him to a nuclear reactor and points a gun at him. Now here, Mike has a weapon and the head of Aoza is ready to blow up the reactor next to them because he has nothing to lose, and yes, he does it. But the reactor doesn't explode. Mike's hacker friend has been hacking Aoza's information all this time, and he's stopping all of Aoza's nuclear reactors. And yes, Aoza is over, and we will go to Yamaji, the fight that Higan was waiting for since the first episode is finally taking place. Yamaji versus Higan. The fight goes on, and Higan kinda is superior to Yamaji. But in a shocking incident, Zai enters and stops Higan, and the fight goes 1 versus 2. And Higan has to quickly use his secret art, but at the same time Yamaji does the same thing and reveals his secret art. Yamaji's secret art has the power to manipulate the opponent's mind, and because of this Higan's mind is completely involved and he loses his control, and Yamaji takes his sword to Higan's neck to kill him. But with the words that Yamaji says about the future of shinobi, Zai's mentality changed miraculously, and Zai remembers his words with Mari and comes in front of Yamaji's sword and his hand is cut off, but Zai's sword sinks into Yamaji's body. But the problem here is that Yamaji constantly connects himself to Aoza's fuel and makes himself even stronger than before. But even though he thinks that he has stopped Higan and Higan's job is over, in an unexpected action Higan uses the secretive art of thunder and lightning with his pure will, and he kills Yamaji with a very beautiful fight. And after Yamaji's death, Zai doesn't know what to do and feels betrayed, so he wants to kill himself. But Higan stops him and convinces forces Zai to continue with his life and get over these events, and that's it. Our story ends, and thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful story. This is my channel Kaisen Anime. I will be happy if you subscribe me and waiting for my next video. So have a nice day.